Throughout Naruto's 20+ year run, the term plot hole has been thrown around a lot by the community. Now commonly, it's not uncommon for stories to have plot holes. In fact, there's almost always going to be a plot hole in a long-running series due to the fact that it's almost impossible for an author to remember every little aspect of their story. Because keep in mind, manga creators are humans too, and they make mistakes. However, a majority of plot holes that I've seen people critique for Naruto, at least in my opinion, can simply be solved by just reading the story. For example, the most popular quote-unquote plot hole that I've seen people discuss is Kakashi not going blind for abusing his MS throughout the war arc. Even though Kakashi specifically stated that he was losing sight in his left eye due to him abusing the MS. But I digress. Before I go on, I think it's important to understand what a plot hole actually is, because I think a lot of people misinterpret the definition of it. In fiction, a plot hole is a gap or inconsistency in a storyline that goes against the flow of logic established by the story's plot. Just because it doesn't affect the overall outcome of the story does not mean it's not a plot hole. Now, after rereading all 700 chapters of Naruto, I think I've effectively found all the plot holes that I could. Now keep in mind, there could be more than these, but these are what I consider to be the most apparent plot holes. Now if there's a common explanation for said plot hole, I will elaborate on it to see if it holds any validity or not. Also in this video, I'm mainly relying on manga only plot holes, so anime exclusive plot holes like Obito's arm dripping despite it not being a Zetsu arm, or Itachi controlling a Susano without being in the body, I won't be covering. So for those of you who do not know, Kakashi during the Third Great Ninja War invented a jutsu called Chidori 1000 Birds. It was created from Kakashi failing to add a lightning nature to the Rasengan. It was deemed an imperfect jutsu due to the jutsu requiring you to charge at your enemy with high speed, which would give you severe tunnel vision. Now for those of you who do not know, tunnel visioning simply means the loss of your peripheral vision. Now adding the Sharingan to the Chidori gives the user enhanced visual acuity, allowing them to ascertain an enemy's movements and even react to their movements, which essentially removes the previous limitation of the Chidori, which was tunnel visioning. Now the plot hole in which I'm speaking about is Rin getting hit by Kakashi's Chidori. The Chidori is a jutsu where it specializes in high speed and piercing strength. Now, how was Rin not only able to outspeed Kakashi by getting in front of his Chidori, and even more so, how did Rin manage to completely bypass the enhanced visual acuity of the Sharingan? Now, this isn't the first time that something like this happened. Haku is said to have the potential to move at light speed between his mirrors, and it's established that he was mentally amped when he was saving Zabuza. So I understand how Haku can bypass the Sharingan's perception, but how could Rin? She for damn sure isn't faster than Kakashi, but let's just say that she just happened to be right next to the Mist Shinobi when it happened. How was Rin able to completely bypass the Sharingan's perception? If Rin had approached Kakashi from either side or even came from above Kakashi, the Sharingan would have allowed him to see Rin coming and he would have been able to react to her. Before I say the plot hole, this one in particular should not be taken too seriously. It's a plot hole, but it's more of a funny one at that. So a plot hole that I noticed is in chapter 347. Team 7 encounters Konohamaru at the ramen shop, and then Konohamaru uses the reverse harem jutsu on Sakura. Now the issue with this is, how does Konohamaru know what teen Sasuke looks like? Now some people might say, oh well, Konohamaru might have just seen what Sasuke looks like from the bingo book. Okay, first off, the bingo book is something that is mainly given to Anbu Black Ops members, so odds are a preteen who just graduated the academy would not have access to what is essentially an assassination book. Let's just assume that he did have a bingo book, which he wouldn't, but I'll humor the idea. The picture of Sasuke from the bingo book is when he was still in Konoha, so it's not even a recent image. Staying on the topic of Konohamaru, the next plot hole we have is him learning the Rasengan. Now him being able to learn the Rasengan isn't what's the plot hole, it's who taught it to him. In chapter 428, it clearly shows us that a genin Konohamaru learned the Rasengan from a pre-time skip Naruto. Now between the events of the Konoha Crush and between the events of the Sasuke recovery mission, I'd say that not that much time has passed. Now keep in mind, it takes Naruto around 5 weeks to master the Rasengan. After beating Orochimaru, Tsunade, Jiraiya, Shizune, and Naruto went back to the Leaf as soon as Naruto recovered. Let's assume that Naruto's recovery and them traveling back to the Leaf Village took 1 week each. 1 week for his recovery and 1 week for them to travel back to Konoha. Tsunade then heals Sasuke. Now let's assume that Sasuke's recovery prior to him challenging Naruto also took a week. That would mean the only possible time Naruto could have taught him was within that possible week, because we know Sasuke left the same night after his fight with Naruto. Now unless you believe that Konohamaru graduated the academy, became a genin, and grew from 4'2" to 4'7" in a span of 8 weeks, then there's no possible way that kid Naruto taught Konohamaru the Rasengan. I mean, not unless Konohamaru suddenly transported to the One Piece verse for those 8 weeks, because if we look at the manga, Konohamaru is barely shorter than Naruto in the panel where we see him learning the Rasengan in. Keep in mind, Jiraiya and Naruto left the village immediately after Naruto got released from the hospital. Now keep in mind, the anime did end up correcting this scene to teen Naruto teaching Konohamaru the Rasengan, which reinforces the idea that Kishimoto just messed up, but since the anime isn't the source material, I can still count it as a plot hole. Next, we have Obito and his Kamui, and it's his ability to phase through things. Now in chapter 510, we see that during his fight with Konan, he was able to phase through a paper bomb without activating his MS. Now the reasoning I've heard is that Obito has Senju and Uchiha DNA, which gives him access to 6 paths power, and Kakashi stated that during his battle with Kaguya, 6 paths power increases your ocular abilities, and apparently that's why Obito could use the MS abilities without actually activating it. Okay, let's assume that this is true. The problem with this is that we run into a paradox. If we assume that Obito has the ability to activate his MS abilities with his base Sharingan, why isn't this consistent? Why doesn't Obito always activate his MS abilities with his base Sharingan? If you think about it logically, wouldn't it make way more sense, because if your enemies see your eyes, wouldn't it be better for you to always activate your MS abilities with your base Sharingan so your enemies can't tell when you're phasing in and out of things? The thing that leads me to believe that this is a plot hole is because it's inconsistent. To my knowledge, there isn't any more manga panels reinforcing the idea that Obito can activate his MS abilities with his base Sharingan. And if you believe that it's not a plot hole, and that 6 paths chakra gives you the ability to use your MS abilities with your base Sharingan, you would have to prove why did Obito specifically not activate his MS here, but he did every other time he was fighting. The next plot hole that I would like to mention is Naruto doing the Shadow Clone Jutsu in the last Naruto the movie. Now I know what I said before about me mainly using the manga, but since there isn't a manga version of this movie, and this movie was written by Kishimoto himself, I would say that this counts. Now when Naruto is trying to save Hinata from the bullies, he uses the Shadow Clone Jutsu. But we all know that Naruto didn't learn that until he took the Scroll of Sealing from Hiruzen. Now I can already tell a few of you are typing, well actually Naruto didn't learn the Shadow Clone Jutsu from the Scroll of Sealing, he actually learned the Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu. And that's not how that works, but let me explain. So what Naruto did is called learning by extension. So what does that mean? Since Naruto learned the Multi-Shadow Clone Jutsu, he also learned the Shadow Clone Jutsu since it's very similar. Let me explain it more clearly. Have you or your friend ever been very good at a specific subject in school and that skill translated to another subject? For example, if you're good at math and you take a computer science class, your computer science teacher will commonly say if you're good at math then you'll pass this class. I'll give you another example. If you're good at biology and you take chemistry, your chemistry teacher will commonly say, well if you're good at biology then you'll pass my class. That's learning by extension. It means learning how to do something by doing something else. Now the next plot hole is Naruto not understanding love. Now I remember as a Naruto fan, most people had theories back in the day as to why Naruto didn't address Hinata's confession after the events of the Pain Invasion. My headcanon was that Naruto simply didn't address Hinata's feelings because with everything going on between the war, Sasuke joining the Akatsuki, and finding out about his father, he was simply overwhelmed by the surplus of events. Now the most popular theory back in the day was that Naruto simply didn't hear Hinata's confession because she was too far away. But the reason that Kishimoto gave us was that Naruto didn't address Hinata's confession because he simply didn't understand romantic love. Okay, if that is true, how come after Tsunade healed Sasuke and Sakura embraced him, why did Naruto look so defeated in this moment? How come after Sakura pleaded with Naruto to bring Sasuke back to the village, Naruto claimed that he understood exactly what she was going through? How come when Naruto meets his mother, he asks her how did she fall in love with his dad? How does he not understand romantic love when Naruto hears his mother go in depth about how she fell in love with his dad? If he doesn't understand romantic love, how come he saw through Sakura's trick when she said that she loved Naruto? But yet we're supposed to believe that Naruto simply didn't understand love romantically. I'm telling you, there's a reason why Naruto fans never bring up the last Naruto the movie unless it has something to do with power scaling. This shit legit rewrote Naruto's entire character to give him a reason to want to marry Hinata. And I'm not against Naruto being with Hinata, but the way Kishimoto wrote it just sucks and it contradicts Naruto's character. And not to mention, this writing makes Naruto seem far more shallow than what he actually is. Are you telling me he acted like he was in love with Sakura all because he simply didn't want to lose to Sasuke? Hell, if that is the case, why did he single out Sakura in the academy before they were even a part of Team 7? All girls in the academy aside from Hinata all liked Sasuke. Why didn't Naruto show any interest in Ino or any of the other NPC girls that like Sasuke too? The next plot hole is Orochimaru trying to take Sasuke's body. This legit made me confused after rereading the manga. Okay, so we know Orochimaru supplied Danzo with an arm with Hashirama cells and a bunch of Sharingans. Now, why did Orochimaru not take any of the Sharingan for himself, but instead he wanted Sasuke? Now, if your answer is, oh well, that's simple, Orochimaru is a perfectionist and he didn't just want any Sharingan, he wanted the best he could get his hands on, which is why he wanted Sasuke's. Okay, let's assume that is true. Why did Orochimaru willingly train Sasuke for 3 years instead of taking his eyes when he activated his Sharingan during their training sessions? Okay, now your other reason for him doing that would probably be, oh well, he wanted Sasuke's body. And I get that, but what was the point? It's literally established by Kimimaro that to obtain all the jutsu in the world, Orochimaru mastered the immortality jutsu. But he said that just because he's immortal doesn't mean that his flesh lives on. So even if Orochimaru was successful in making Sasuke his vessel, he would have still had to swap out Sasuke's body for someone else's potentially 3 years after that. And I can already hear some of you typing, well, even if Sasuke's body does decompose, Orochimaru could just swap the eyes with his next vessel. And that's literally my point. If Orochimaru was going to have to end up discarding Sasuke's body for a new one, he should have just told Sasuke to activate his Sharingan during their training sessions and then snatch out his eyes and kill him. Now, I have heard a theory that if Sasuke becomes Orochimaru's vessel, then he would no longer have to swap bodies. This is probably one of the worst theories I have heard because there is nothing to support this. The manga never mentions or even implies that Orochimaru would no longer have to swap bodies if he became Sasuke's vessel. The next plot hole is Itachi's age. Orochimaru left the Akatsuki 10 years before Sasuke originally killed him. Itachi was 21 at the time, which means Itachi beat Orochimaru and caused him to leave the Akatsuki 10 years ago when he was 11 years old. 2 years before he committed the Uchiha massacre, but the only reasons Itachi joined the Akatsuki in the first place was to go into hiding after he committed the massacre and to leak info of the organization back to the Hokage. And when we see Itachi beat him, we can clearly see him wearing an Akatsuki robe. The next plot hole that I've noticed is a rather small one. It's Hiruzen calling Yamato Yamato. I'm almost positive that no one's gonna argue that this is a plot hole. It's not a big one, but it's something that you'll notice while rereading the manga. The last plot hole that I've noticed is Naruto taking the graduation exam 3 times. Now, there are many different arguments for people saying that this is not a plot hole and it's explained in the story, so I'll just go over them. Okay, so the first one that I've heard is that Naruto failed the graduation exam 3 times, yet he is not 3 years older than his comrades, and yet he is regarded as one of the 9 rookies. So I've actually heard 2 different explanations for this one. The first one is that Naruto took the graduation exam 3 times because he requested to take them early. Okay, so if that is true, why would the teachers allow a student who has the worst grades in the class attempt to even take the exams early despite him not showing that he is competent enough to even take them in the first place? Now, if your argument is that the teachers are not allowed to refuse a student's request of taking the exam early, okay, let's assume that is true. What about Sasuke? Sasuke for damn sure wanted to hurry up and become a ninja so that he could seek his vengeance against Itachi. There is no possible way that if Sasuke had the option to graduate early, he would not have jumped on that offer. The next explanation that I've heard is that all students took the graduation exams 3 times within the same year. This simply doesn't make any sense either. You're telling me that people like Sakura, Sasuke, and Shino all failed the graduation exams 2 times just like Naruto did? Even if this was true, this would create an inconsistency. Because why would Iruka bitch about Naruto failing the graduation exam 2 times if his other classmates failed alongside him? If they all took the graduation exams 3 times within the same year, that would mean that everyone in Naruto's class failed the graduation exams 2 times like he did. However, we know that's not the case. So those are all the plot holes that I managed to find in the Naruto manga. Let me know if I missed any, or let me know if you guys have any explanations for these plot holes. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.